just the walk, let alone the fight part. It takes a lot of mental strength. It takes a lot of guts, a lot of heart, mental strength. It's a huge thing in boxing.
It's a big thing in life, even outside of boxing, right? In business and in all, I think, great endeavors. Do you think it's something that you can, from what you've seen in the gym, something you can teach or train?
I think you can.
Chris Eubank Jr. delivers a bold and intense warning ahead of his showdown with Conor Benn, emphasizing that this fight goes beyond physicality. It's a battle of the mind. For Eubank Jr., the boxing ring is not just a place for punches to land, but a proving ground where mental resilience is built. He doesn't just claim to be mentally tougher, he's certain of it. He views Benn as emotionally fragile, buckling under pressure, while he himself thrives in high-stress environments. Eubank Jr. stresses that entering the ring is not for the weak. It's reserved for warriors who embrace the pressure and use fear as a shield. He also critiques Benn's lack of experience in enduring tough situations, arguing that no sheer aggression can help him when he's trapped in the relentless mental battle of elite-level competition. For Eubank, this fight isn't about who can land the hardest blows. It's about who can outlast the mental torment. The real question is whether Benn can endure the heat, or if Eubank will break him down psychologically before the fight even begins.
There ain't no appreciation. He's an idiot. That's it. He's just an idiot. That's what sells. He's an idiot. And I've said it about 5 times in about 10 seconds. That's because I genuinely what I think of him. So for me, I'll fight anybody. I don't have to always talk. I'll fight Barrios for the WBC world title. No problem. People know what they're getting.
Yeah.
It's not a fluke. I am the product. My fighting style is the product.
On the other hand, Conor Benn unleashes a fierce outburst, tearing into Chris Eubank Jr. with brutal honesty. He makes it crystal clear that he sees Eubank as nothing more than a joke, relying solely on his famous last name. Benn isn't concerned with playing the respect game. He's driven by a deep desire to shatter the myth of Eubank's legacy. He targets Eubank's inflated ego, calling him nothing more than a fabricated persona, full of talk, but lacking substance. For Benn, this fight isn't about chasing paydays or fame. It's about silencing the noise and proving that he's the one with the true power. Benn doesn't need to boast. He believes his fists speak for themselves. He's prepared to face the toughest opponents, walk through fire, and emerge unscathed. But here's the plot twist. Eubank didn't stay quiet. Fueled by Benn's insults, he's flipped the switch and now promises to settle things with pure violence. The pressure is mounting. Will Benn live up to the storm he's stirred up, or will Eubank make him regret every word? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like the video.
Eubank Jr., I mean, he's stylish and he's skillful. And if that Liam Smith defeat, which worries me a bit for Chris, if that's sort of part of the past, that the rematch was emphatic for Eubank Jr., but it wasn't Liam's night, really, and he had an injury going into it. So that defeat that Eubank suffered worries me a bit, but he's fought in better company, and Conor Benn's got it all to prove. But if there's one guy that wants it more, it's Conor Benn. There's no doubt about that.
On the flip side, Adam Smith has just dropped a bombshell that's rocked the boxing community, calling out the flaws in Chris Eubank Jr.'s career trajectory. While it's clear Eubank has raw talent and a commanding presence in the ring, Smith didn't shy away from revisiting the crushing defeat to Liam Smith, a loss that tore apart Eubank's carefully crafted image. Although many fans viewed the rematch as a chance for redemption, Smith pointed out that Liam fought with an injury, making Eubank's victory much less impressive. The real blow wasn't just the loss to Liam. It shattered the once unbreakable aura of invincibility that Eubank carried with him. Meanwhile, Conor Benn enters the upcoming fight like a predator on the hunt. Smith made it clear that Benn's focus, power, and determination to dominate are not to be overlooked. The moment of truth is rapidly approaching. Will Eubank overcome the ghosts of his past, or will Benn exploit every weakness and seize the spotlight for himself?
Repeat there. Maybe that's what Eubank Jr. is thinking, that Conor Benn is going to come out and leave everything in those first 3 or 4 rounds. And if Chris is still there, it could be trouble for Conor. But Conor could knock him out. Barry could be right.
Adam Smith has just cranked up the heat with a bold prediction about the upcoming showdown between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. According to Smith, Eubank's strategy hinges on surviving Benn's ferocious early assault. Those initial rounds where Ben fights like a beast unleashed. If Eubank can endure that early storm, the momentum could shift dramatically in his favor. But here's the catch. Smith doesn't hold back in warning that Ben's power isn't just talk. It's devastating, dangerous, and capable of ending a career in an instant. Smith further stokes the fire by reinforcing Barry's belief that Ben's relentless pressure could potentially shatter Eubank's composure. The real question is, can Eubank stay resilient, protect his chin, and turn the tide, or will Ben bulldoze his way through with sheer, unforgiving aggression? This fight isn't just about boxing. It's a high-stakes gamble with legacy, pride, and pain hanging in the balance. The outcome will change the division forever.
Yeah, I think it's a mismatch on paper. Of course it is. It's a fella that won a British title at welterweight, who hasn't boxed for a long time, against a faded world-class middleweight. So I haven't really got any interest, to be honest.
Egg slap not get you excited for it?
Not really, no. I'm not really an excitable guy.
Meanwhile, Dave Allen isn't just offering criticism. He's setting the entire narrative on fire, tearing apart the Eubank versus Ben rematch as if it's a bad joke that's been dragged out too long. According to Allen, this fight isn't a major spectacle. It's a mismatched spectacle between a middleweight who's past his prime and a welterweight who hasn't made much of an impact on the domestic scene. He destroys the hype with brutal honesty, calling the event nothing more than a clickbait money grab with no real competitive value. For Allen, the polished promos are a smokescreen. One fight has been sitting on the sidelines, and the other's already been humbled in the ring. To him, there's no real rivalry anymore, just two names riding on the coattails of their famous fathers, while fans are served up a nostalgic spectacle disguised as an exciting fight. The true problem, Allen says, is the glaring quality gap between the two fighters, a gap that's impossible to ignore and a slap in the face to true boxing fans. In his eyes, this isn't a real boxing match. It's a circus show in gloves, dragging the sport into the mud for a quick payday.
I felt sorry for Junior because he is a 34-year-old man at the time. He wants his own thing. His father is always going to be the centre of attention.
Yeah.
I think he's right to make his own decisions.
Simon, I see exactly what you're saying because Nigel has stood back from Conor's career and Chris Senior was right in the front at the beginning. And I think it's great that Junior is walking his own path.
So do I.
However, they have had horrendous tragedy in their family.
No one saw this coming. Steve Collins has just dropped a bombshell that's rattled the boxing world to its core, offering a brutal, no-holds-barred critique of the turmoil surrounding Chris Eubank Jr.'s career. This isn't just about another fight. It's a battle for personal freedom, a fierce struggle for identity. Collins didn't pull any punches, dismantling the toxic father-son dynamic that he believes has stifled Eubank Jr.'s growth. While Conor Benn has forged his own path with Nigel Benn proudly watching from the sidelines, Eubank Jr. has been smothered by a father who refuses to step out of the spotlight. Collins highlighted that Eubank Jr. isn't only fighting in the ring, he's battling his own father, desperately trying to break free from a legacy that's turned into a cage. To make matters even worse, Collins hinted at the deep personal tragedies weighing heavily on the Eubank family, suggesting that these emotional scars might be dragging Chris down more than anyone knows. The real question now is, can Eubank Jr. finally escape his father's shadow, or will he remain forever trapped by a legacy that's never allowed him to breathe?
Yeah, but I think with Chris, this is purely business. This is purely business. I don't think he quite likes him very much.
No.
But I'm telling you now, it's a good thing that Conor's in Spain. Because imagine them two bumping into each other on London High Street on a Sunday afternoon.
We don't need that, do we?
No one needs that, no one wants it, but it's inevitable. So you literally have to navigate your way through these camps and keep these two boys away from each other, because
keep the lid on.
I've been there with this kind of animosity and I've been there with this kind of domestic rivalry. It eats away at you. It's not nice.
No.
It literally eats away at you. It's on your mind daily.
Yeah.
And you just, it gets to it's an intense build-up. Like I said, I've been there with...
On the other hand, Tony Bellew doesn't hold back, diving headfirst into the chaos surrounding the Eubank Jr. versus Ben showdown. For Bellew, this isn't just another fight. It's a bitter, personal grudge match fueled by deep hatred. He makes it clear that this is about far more than titles or legacy. This is raw, unfiltered rage. The tension between these two has been building for years, and now it's about to explode. Bellew warns that the animosity is so intense that a simple press conference could quickly spiral into a full-blown brawl if things aren't kept in check. Drawing from his own experience with intense rivalries, he explains how this kind of emotional pressure can break a fighter's concentration, throw off their strategy, and ultimately dismantle their entire game plan. On the flip side, Bellew notes, the mental strain could spark a fire, turning one of them into a devastating wrecking machine, or leave them shattered under the weight of the pressure. The real question now is whether either fighter can maintain control over their mind. The moment of truth is approaching, and when it arrives, this won't just be a boxing match. It'll be a street-level war masked as a fight.
No, not yet. I need to see what he looks like on the scales. If there was no rehydration clause, I would pick Eubank, but I need to see what he looks like on the scales first, and then if there's a rehydration clause and he already looks bad, it's going to be a hard night for him.
Carl Frampton doesn't hold back, confronting the harsh reality that Chris Eubank Jr. may be stepping straight into a nightmare. And the most alarming part is that no one seems to be talking about it. The weight cut alone is grueling, but the addition of a rehydration clause could turn this fight into the one that derails Eubank's entire career. Frampton is doubtful that Eubank will even step into the ring at full strength, and is not ready to make any judgments until he sees how Eubank looks on the scales. Without these extreme conditions, Frampton believes Eubank could dominate any opponent in his path. But let's be honest, draining your body before such a high-stakes fight is a recipe for disaster. Eubank has always been a force in the ring, but if his body gives out before the first punch is thrown, it won't just be a tough night. It could quickly become a one-sided disaster. Frampton's already picking up on warning signs, and if Eubank looks even the slightest bit off at the weigh-in, this won't just be another fight. It could signal the beginning of the end for his career.
I think Eubank will do it. I think it's going to be a good fight as long as it lasts, but I think Eubank will do it.
Is that because of the size and all the attributes Amir Khan mentioned?
I think with the experience and everything in it, to be honest, I think he's got the more experience as being professional, and since he's moved trainer, he seems to be a different fighter again.
On the other hand, Tyson Fury is unloading pure fire, throwing his full support behind Chris Eubank Jr. while ruthlessly dismantling Conor Benn's chances. Fury describes the fight as a ticking time bomb, and he makes it clear that Ben isn't stepping up. He's walking straight into a trap laid by a battle-hardened veteran who's been through hell in the ring. The truth is hard to swallow. Ben's record is padded with names that wouldn't last a round against Eubank. Fury doesn't just believe Eubank is a better fighter. He insists that Eubank has evolved into a cold, calculating machine since switching trainers, sharper and deadlier than ever. But here's the twist. Fury isn't merely predicting Ben's loss. He's expecting Ben to be completely dismantled and humiliated. The real problem here, according to Fury, is the lack of depth in Ben's experience. Ben has never been pushed to the limit, while Eubank has been forged in the fires of tough competition. To make matters worse, the size difference only adds fuel to the fire. The moment of truth is fast approaching, and Ben's hype train looks ready to crash and burn in spectacular fashion.
I think it's going to be a very good fight. Conor has punching power chances. Chris is the bigger guy, so you give Chris the advantage going in because he's the bigger guy, but Conor does have exceptional punching power, so it's going to be a great fight. I think Chris should win the fight. I think Chris should outbox him, outsmart him, but he will have to be smart early because Conor is a great puncher.
On the other side, Roy Jones Jr. isn't holding back, calling this fight a high-stakes chess match that could quickly spiral into utter chaos. While he gives Chris Eubank Jr. the edge due to his size and technical skill, Roy doesn't shy away from pointing out the one terrifying wildcard, Conor Benn's raw, explosive power. Eubank may be the more polished technician, but if he makes even the slightest mistake early on, Benn's destructive power could end the fight in the blink of an eye. Roy warns that Eubank can't afford to coast through this one without serious consequences. The early rounds will be a battlefield, and a single misstep could seal his fate. Additionally, Roy challenges the notion that Eubank is untouchable. If Ben lands a clean shot, the entire fight could change in an instant. Here's where things get brutal. Roy expects Eubank to win, but only if he fights smart from the opening bell. The moment of truth is approaching, and if Eubank slips even once, Ben will unleash and it could be lights out.